If you are over 60 and want a bedtime fruit that can fit a kidney-conscious routine, tart cherries deserve your attention. But the benefit depends on the form, the portion, and what they replace. Eat the wrong cherry product, and you may turn a simple fruit into a concentrated sugar-lowy diets differ, especially with advanced chronic kidney disease, dialysis, diabetes, fluid limits, or abnormal potassium. Discuss a new nightly habit with the professional managing your care. I'm Dr. Lee. Today I will show you 7 rules for using tart cherries before bed, including the mistake that can make a healthy cherry product a poor choice. The final rule matters most because it explains what actually protects your kidneys overnight and what no fruit can do for you. Rule number 7 is choosing tart cherries, not simply anything with the word cherry on the package. Tart cherries are often called sour cherries. The best known variety is Montmorency. They are smaller, brighter red, and much more acidic than the sweet cherries commonly eaten fresh during summer. That difference matters because most of the bedtime sleep research has used tart cherry juice or concentrate, not ordinary sweet cherries. Tart cherries contain plant compounds called anthocyanins and other polyphenols. Cherries also contain small amounts of naturally occurring melatonin-related compounds that may contribute to a healthy sleep-wake cycle. Lie. This does not mean tart cherries repair damaged kidneys while you sleep. They do not flush creatinine from your blood, reverse chronic kidney disease, or replace medication. Their value is more practical. The National Kidney Foundation includes a half-cup serving of cherries among lower potassium fruit choices. That gives many people a way to eat fruit without reaching for a large banana, a glass of orange juice, or a bowl of dried fruit. Choices that can deliver much more potassium or sugar in a small amount. Healthy kidneys, potassium is an essential nutrient. For someone whose kidneys cannot remove potassium effectively, too much can become dangerous. The heart depends on a narrow potassium range. That is why healthy food and right food for your kidneys are not always the same thing. Imagine standing in your kitchen at 9:30 at night. You feel hungry. On one side is a large banana. On the other is a small bowl containing half a cup of unsweetened tart cherries. Both are fruit. Both contain useful nutrients. But if your clinician has told you to limit potassium, those choices may not place the same demand on your daily potassium budget. One more distinction is important. Sweet cherries are not automatically bad, and tart cherries are not automatically safe for everyone. The reason tart cherries lead this bedtime discussion is the combination of a measured lower potassium serving, their sour flavor that discourages mindless overeating, and the small body of sleep research focused specifically on tart cherry products. The choice is practical, not miraculous. If you dislike tart cherries, forcing them into your routine is unnecessary. A kidney diet succeeds when it fits your laboratory results, your medications, your preferences, and the foods you can consistently obtain. The first lesson is simple. Do not shop by the picture on the front. Look for the actual fruit name, the serving size, and the ingredient list. If this information is helping you separate kidney-friendly marketing from what is actually in the package, subscribe to Age Clarity Health. You may write your kidney concern, blood sugar issue, or question in the comments. I personally review the comments and respond whenever possible. Rule number 6 is that whole or frozen fruit is usually the safer starting point than a bottle of juice. This is where many people accidentally lose control of the portion. You would probably stop after eating a small bowl of cherries because chewing takes time and the fruit has volume. Juice removes that natural break. You can drink the sugar from many cherries in less than a minute and still feel hungry. Whole fruit also provides fiber. Fiber slows digestion, softens the rise in blood glucose, supports bowel regularity, and feeds beneficial bacteria in the intestine. That matters after 60 because constipation, diabetes, reduced activity, and multiple medications often appear together. A bedtime habit that improves one concern but worsens another is not a good trade. Read the label closely. Cherry drink, cherry cocktail, cherry blend, and cherry flavor do not mean unsweetened tart cherry juice. Some products contain added sugar. Others are mostly apple or grape juice with a small amount of cherry concentrate. Dried cherries can be even more deceptive because many are sweetened, and drying removes water, allowing a large amount of fruit sugar to fit into a few bites. A practical starting choice is frozen, unsweetened tart cherries with no syrup and no added sugar. Let half a cup thaw in the refrigerator or warm them slightly until they soften. You can eat them slowly with a spoon. The sour taste makes the portion feel more deliberate rather than disappearing like candy. If whole tart cherries are unavailable and you are considering juice, do not assume more is better. The sleep studies use specific products and amounts under controlled conditions. That evidence cannot be stretched into a promise that a large nightly glass will protect your kidneys. For someone with diabetes, prediabetes, high triglycerides, or a fluid restriction, juice may be the wrong form entirely. The better question is tart cherry juice healthy? The better question is, does this product fit my glucose, fluid, potassium, and calorie limits? Rule number 5 is keeping the portion small enough to remain kidney conscious. A half cup is the key visual, not a cereal bowl, not a blender full, not repeated handfuls while watching television. The National Kidney Foundation's lower potassium food guidance emphasizes that serving size changes everything. A food considered lower in potassium can become a high potassium choice when the portion doubles, triples, or turns into a concentrated product. Most common nutrition mistakes after a kidney diagnosis. People hear that a food is allowed, then assume it is unlimited. But kidney nutrition is often less about banning a food and more about controlling the total amount across the day. Suppose you eat cherries after a dinner containing potatoes, tomato sauce, beans, and a large glass of milk. The cherries may not be the main source of potassium, but they still enter the same daily total. Your kidneys do not evaluate each food separately. They manage the combined mineral and fluid load arriving from everything you eat, drink, and take. That is why your blood test matters more than a universal internet list. Some people with early kidney disease have normal potassium and do not need to restrict healthy fruits. Others develop high potassium because of lower kidney function, diabetes, dehydration, or medications that affect potassium handling. A person on dialysis may have a completely different plan. Start with half a cup, measured once so your eyes learn the amount. Place it in a small bowl. Do not eat directly from a large frozen bag. That one change removes guesswork. And do not combine several kidney-friendly fruits into a huge bedtime bowl. Cherries, berries, grapes, and pineapple can all appear on lower potassium lists in measured servings. Combining full servings of all of them defeats the purpose. Small does not mean useless. A habit succeeds because you can repeat it safely, not because you overwhelm your body on the first night. Rule number 4 is understanding what overnight support really means. Your kidneys do not shut down when you sleep. They continue filtering blood, balancing water and minerals, regulating acid, and participating in blood pressure control. But there is no special midnight window when a fruit scrubs the filters clean. Entage is indirect. Sleep, blood pressure, blood glucose, sodium intake, hydration status, and medication use all influence the environment in which your kidneys work. A sensible bedtime snack can support that environment when it replaces a harmful routine. For example, consider someone who finishes every evening with salty crackers, processed meat, and a sweetened drink. That combination can add sodium, refined carbohydrate, and fluid shortly before lying down. Sodium encourages the body to retain water. High blood glucose places extra stress on blood vessels. Poor sleep can make appetite and glucose control harder the next day. Replacing that routine with a small portion of unsweetened tart cherries is not magic. It is a strategic substitution. You are removing a snack that can work against kidney and cardiovascular health and replacing it with a measured fruit containing fiber and polyphenols. This is the part many dramatic videos leave out. The benefit may come as much from what you stop eating as from what you add. Tart cherries also have limited but interesting sleep evidence. Small clinical studies in older adults with insomnia found modest improvements in sleep measures after tart cherry juice. The word modest matters. The studies were small, and most used juice rather than whole fruit. Tart cherries are not a treatment for sleep apnea. restless legs, severe insomnia, nighttime pain, or frequent urination. Ion is worth understanding. Poor sleep affects energy, memory, appetite, blood pressure, and the ability to stay active. The National Kidney Foundation also notes that sleep problems are common in kidney disease and can become part of a damaging cycle. Edly gasping, snoring loudly, feeling short of breath, or developing morning headaches do not cover that pattern with cherry juice. Sleep apnea deserves proper evaluation. Treating the reason you are not sleeping matters far more than adding a fruit. If you value practical health guidance designed for adults over 60, subscribe to Age Clarity Health. Tell me in the comments whether you know your latest EGFR or potassium result, or which kidney question you want explained next. I read the discussion personally and answer whenever I can. Rule number 3 is choosing the right time without turning bedtime eating into another problem. You do not need to eat tart cherries the moment your head touches the pillow. In fact, eating and drinking immediately before lying down can worsen reflux, cause discomfort, or increase nighttime bathroom trips. A practical window is about 1 to 2 hours before bed. That gives you time to notice hunger, eat slowly, and avoid carrying a full stomach into sleep. It also separates the snack from toothbrushing, which matters because tart foods are acidic. If you experience acid reflux, burning in the chest, chronic cough at night, or sour fluid in the mouth, tart cherries may aggravate symptoms. In that case, moving them earlier may help, or another lower potassium whole fruit may suit you better. A food is not kidney supportive if it repeatedly destroys your sleep. Pay attention to why you are eating. Are you physically hungry, or are you using food to stay awake in front of the television? Are you eating because dinner was too small, or because a medication causes dry mouth? Are you thirsty because the meal was salty? Those questions reveal patterns that a single fruit cannot fix. A common situation looks like this. A 74-year-old eats dinner at 5 p.m., then tries to avoid all food until morning. By 10 o'clock, hunger becomes intense. She begins with one cracker, then finishes half the box and drinks 2 glasses of juice. She feels guilty and decides she has no willpower. The real problem is not willpower. Her evening plan has a 5-hour gap and no prepared option. A measured bowl of tart cherries at 8:30, perhaps following a dinner with adequate protein and fiber, may prevent the uncontrolled snack later. The fruit becomes useful because it creates structure. The earlier rules work together. The right variety matters. The form matters. The portion matters. The timing matters. But the next 2 rules determine whether this habit is safe for your actual kidneys rather than an imaginary average person. Rule number 2 is knowing when tart cherries require professional review. First, advanced chronic kidney disease changes the calculation. If you have stage 4 or stage 5 kidney disease, receive dialysis, have a history of high potassium, or were given a strict fluid or potassium limit, do not add a nightly fruit simply because it appears on a general list. Your allowance depends on your laboratory results, dialysis schedule, medications, urine output, and the rest of your diet. Hang is the form. Whole unsweetened fruit in a measured portion is very different from juice, syrup, concentrate, gummies, or sweetened dried cherries. Check the total carbohydrate and added sugar on the label. If you monitor glucose at home, observe what happens rather than assuming the product is harmless. Third, fluid restriction changes the form again. A large glass of tart cherry juice counts toward fluid intake. So does the water used to dilute concentrate. People with heart failure or kidney failure may be told to limit fluids because excess fluid can contribute to swelling, breathlessness, and blood pressure problems. Fourth, digestive sensitivity matters. Cherries contain fermentable carbohydrates that can cause gas, cramping, or diarrhea in some people, especially in larger portions. Diarrhea can lead to dehydration. Dehydration can reduce blood flow to the kidneys and disturb electrolytes. More is not better. Fifth, review supplements differently from food. Tart cherry capsules, powders, extracts, and concentrated detox products are not equivalent to half a cup of fruit. Supplement labels may not tell the full story about potency, contaminants, or interactions. Kidney disease can make the body less able to clear certain substances. You should also contact a healthcare professional promptly if you develop persistent swelling, shortness of breath, chest pain, severe weakness, confusion, very little urine, blood in the urine, fever with back or side pain, or vomiting that prevents you from keeping fluids down. Those are not signs to solve with a bedtime snack. Here is a fact that should change how seriously you take testing. Current United States estimates suggest that chronic kidney disease affects about 14% of adults, and most people who have it do not know. Among adults 65 and older, the estimated prevalence is much higher. Say often stays quiet. You may still shop, drive, cook, and feel normal while changes appear in blood or urine tests. The two key checks are an estimated glomerular filtration rate, called eGFR, and a urine albumin to creatinine ratio, often shortened to UACR. Creatinine helps estimate filtration. Urine albumin can reveal damage even when filtration still looks acceptable. Reatinine result after eating a fruit. Kidney disease is diagnosed and monitored through patterns, context, and repeat testing. Ask what your eGFR is, whether albumin is leaking into your urine, what your potassium level is, and whether your results have changed over time. That information gives you power. Without it, every online food list is a guess. Rule number one is using Tart cherries to replace the nighttime habits that quietly strain the systems protecting your kidneys. This is the real payoff. The fruit is not the hero by itself. The routine is. Your kidneys are closely tied to your heart and blood vessels. High blood pressure can damage the tiny filtering vessels. Diabetes can injure them through years of elevated glucose. Excess sodium can make blood pressure and fluid control harder. Poor medication use, dehydration, smoking, and frequent use of certain pain relievers can add further stress. Art cherries cannot overpower those forces, but it can become the visible center of a better evening pattern. Picture two different nights. On the first night, you eat a heavy, salty meal, sit for 4 hours, snack from several packages, drink a sweet beverage, take medications inconsistently, and fall asleep with the television on. You wake thirsty, tired, and unsteady. On the second night, dinner is reasonable. You take prescribed medication exactly as directed. You prepare half a cup of unsweetened tart cherries 1 to 2 hours before bed because you are genuinely hungry. You stop eating afterward, dim the lights, avoid another salty snack, and follow a steady sleep schedule. The cherries are only one part of that second night, but they become a cue. They tell your brain, the kitchen is closing. The day is ending. I am protecting tomorrow morning. That matters because kidney health is not separate from independence. When kidney function worsens, fatigue can deepen. Fluid can build up. Blood pressure becomes harder to control. Appetite and concentration can change. Advanced disease can place enormous demands on your schedule, your family, and your freedom. The goal is not to become afraid of every food. The goal is to preserve the strength to get out of bed, prepare breakfast, walk through the grocery store, visit family, and remain in charge of your own life. This is also why you should not use the word overnight to expect an overnight laboratory transformation. You will not eat cherries tonight and wake with a dramatically improved eGFR. Real kidney protection is measured over months and years through controlled blood pressure, controlled blood sugar, appropriate medication, sensible nutrition, movement, sleep, and regular testing. Tart cherries earn a place because they can fit that larger plan. They are a measured lower potassium fruit option for many people. They provide fiber and colorful plant compounds. They may offer a modest sleep benefit. Most importantly, they can replace a bedtime snack that is salty, heavily processed, or loaded with added sugar. But the rules determine the result. Unsweetened, measured, appropriate for your laboratory results, used as part of a routine, not as a cure. Here is your 4-step bedtime kidney protocol. First, know your numbers. Find your latest eGFR, urine albumin result, and potassium level. If you have diabetes, include your glucose plan. If you have advanced kidney disease, dialysis, high potassium, or fluid limits, ask your kidney clinician or renal dietitian before making tart cherries a nightly habit. Second, choose the least concentrated form. Start with unsweetened frozen or fresh tart cherries rather than juice, syrup, gummies, sweetened dried fruit, or concentrate. Read the ingredient list. The only ingredient should ideally be tart cherries. Third, measure half a cup and eat it 1 to 2 hours before bed only when it fits your hunger and daily plan. Notice reflux, stomach symptoms, glucose readings, swelling, thirst, and nighttime urination. Do not increase the serving because the first night felt fine. Fourth, use the bowl as a closing ritual. Replace the chips, processed meat, cookies, or sweetened drink. Take prescribed medication as directed. Reduce late sodium. Prepare for sleep. Track the pattern for 7 nights, then decide whether the routine truly helps. If this video has helped you build a safer plan, subscribe to Age Clarity Health and share which bedtime food habit you want to change. Your experience may help another person recognize the same pattern. One imperfect snack does not mean your kidneys are failing. One poor night of sleep does not predict loss of independence. What matters is the pattern you recognize early and the action you take while you still have choices. You are not powerless. A small decision can become a signal that you are protecting your blood pressure, your energy, your mobility, and your ability to remain capable in your own home. In the next video, we will uncover another everyday health mistake that can quietly affect your body after 60. Watch that next, because recognizing these hidden risks early can help you protect your strength, confidence, and independence.